Now, while democratic South Africa was emerging on this day in 1994, a very different kind of watershed moment was taking place in Rwanda. The country was in the grip of a genocide that left about 800,000 people dead. It's been well documented. eNCA's Rwandan correspondent Isabel Nakirya joins us now from Kampala. Isabel, good afternoon to you. Before we take a look back, over the past 24 hours, there's been news emerging of hundreds of bodies discovered from the 1995 genocide. But you'll tell us that officials don't seem to be too surprised by this discovery.
Yes, that's right. About 4 mass graves were discovered this week, and it's believed that over 2,000 to 3,000 bodies were buried in these mass graves. Officials here are a bit surprised, though not so surprised. It says that many of the people who were released who committed these atrocities then have been released, and it's believed that some of these people are the ones that committed these atrocities and are not still saying what happened then. They believe that these are the people who know where the graves were buried, where the people were buried, but they are not talking. So many of the people in the area are shocked, they are dismayed and disturbed that just within them there were graves and people were not talking about it. So in these graves there were about, so far, over 200 bodies have been excavated, and some of them are believed to be babies. Many of the people who lost their loved ones then have been streaming into the area, trying to look into the graves and see whether maybe they can discover that some of these people who are the bones, the remains that are being excavated could be their people. We understand that an album has also been found, and some people have been seen leafing through the albums and trying to find out maybe some of their mothers, their children were buried in these graves. And of course brings to the fore the threat of reconciliation. Reconciliation in the fact that many of the people were trying to forget their past, trying to rebuild their lives, and the discovery of such a grave just tries to open up wounds that were trying to heal now.
Well, 24 years on, it also says that this is very much a top-of-mind issue in the country. So as the day is marked, or as the week is marked, what degree then of reconciliation has been achieved, or there's still many open wounds in that respect?
Of course, the discovery of these mass graves comes just days after the country celebrated or commemorated the over 2-decade war in Rwanda, and the discovery of these mass graves again, as I said, threatens reconciliations. Many people were trying to rebuild their lives. The country was trying to make progress. There's very stunning progress in the economy. Rwanda is trying to attract investment, and discoveries like this just puts down everybody's efforts. Now, when thousands of people discover that in fact there are graves just near them, and maybe your neighbor knew about this grave and cannot tell you something, people are suspicious, and they are now saying, how can reconciliation take place with someone who knows that graves are here and they cannot say anything? One thing, though, that we understand is that there was a roadblock manned by Hutu militias that used to be just meters away from this grave that has just been discovered. And some of these militias, of course, are believed to have killed some of these people. And again, that time it was believed that 3,000 people were unaccounted for. And now when there are reports that 3,000 people could be buried in these graves, there's of course a link there and suspicion that some of these missing people were actually in these mass graves. The bodies have been exhumed, and the search still continues. And of course, they will be given a decent burial later. But for now, no one has said when the decent burials will take place.
Isabel Nakirya, thank you very much indeed, eNCA correspondent.